Hello and welcome back to my channel. My last video on Leonardo.ai received incredibly positive feedback, so I wanted to do a deeper dive into it. Leonardo has absolutely blown up since my last video, and I suspect we're going to see a paid version very soon. But for now, it's completely free still, although it is limited to 200 credits per day. But today, I'm going to be talking about the different model options that you have with Leonardo.ai, including training your own models. Okay, so welcome back to Leonardo.ai's web interface. And so the first thing I want to show today is actually the FAQs and the help, because that's where you're going to get a lot of good information about how to train your own models. So here are a few examples of different outputs that have been created as examples. And if we look here, Leonardo is saying that they're going to be offering moving sprites soon. So that's going to be absolutely incredible. I haven't seen this before anywhere else. So here are the basics. It tells you how to create your own models, but I'm going to show you that. So we're going to skip over this. The important thing I want to show today from the FAQs is actually what makes a good model. So it says the sweet spot is around 8 to 15 images, but it does say that you can upload more images than that. And when I've looked at the community models, a lot of them have many more images than that. The max is listed here at 30. So here it tells you about what makes a good training set. So consistency is really important. There needs to be a common theme or pattern between your images for the model to learn from. So in this data set, you can see that all of the images have a very consistent style. They are all in the same camera angle and they're all very consistent. So it's going to make a really good training set. But it also says variation is okay as well. And so right here is a really important term. It says that variation across the images will be more loosely learned. So consistency is going to stick really hard in your model and the variations will be less learned. So here's an example of a bad data set. These are all images of animals, except this one's a picture, this one's a close-up. There's duplicates here, which I made that mistake in the Pokemon data set that I used to train, and I'll show you that. And here's a good data set. Again, all different images, but they have a consistent theme. They're all about the same distance from the camera. They're framed the same. And so this is a really good data set. So let's go into fine-tune models. And of course, we have the platform models, which are all the models that have been built by the actual Leonardo team. So RPG models. So you can always click into each one of these. You can generate with the model by clicking this button right here, or you can actually see all of the different images that have been created with this model. So 186,000 images created with this model. If you click into learn more, here are some examples. And here's another one. This is probably the best model that I've used so far, Deliberate 1.1. It makes really accurate and detailed images. Look at some of these and look at the detail on this image. It's absolutely incredible. And it also gives you all the information about it. So it gives you the resolution, gives you when it was created, the guidance scale, and the step count, which I find to be really important to look at. So as you're looking at an image that somebody else has created, you can look at these two settings and you can see what works better and what doesn't and apply that to your own creations. It also tells you what base model it is. Almost all of them are based on Stable Diffusion 1.5, but there's also the newer version 2 and up. Next, you have the community models. And these are models that have been custom created by the actual community. Some of them are great, some of them are not so good. Let's look at this one, Master Chief example. So you can see again, 148 images have been created with this model. You can generate with this model. It tells you what the training resolution is, category, the base model. So this is actually using Stable Diffusion 2.1 and the strength of medium. Here's a funny one of Gordon Ramsay and Master Chief. So find the community model you like and you can generate it in any image you want based on that model. The next thing I want to show is training your own models, which is the main point of this video. So I've trained 4 models, but let's go through the process of doing it again. So you click new data set and we can name it. I'm going to go ahead and keep this as a test data set. We're not going to create a new one. So you can click right here and upload your images or drag and drop them. I've already downloaded a bunch of Marvel characters that I like. I'm going to select them all and upload them. Now, as soon as those are finished uploading, you click train model and it's going to take you to this pop-up. The first thing you want to do is give it a name and a description if you like. You also want to select a training resolution. There's only 2 options, 512 by 512 and 768 by 768. I suspect if you choose the larger, it'll actually take longer. The other thing to remember is that the training resolution actually is associated with the Stable Diffusion version that you're going to be using. So if you choose 512 by 512, you're going to be using the 1.5, which is what they recommend. And if you choose the larger 768 by 768, you're going to be using Stable Diffusion 2.1. So we'll go ahead and leave it on 512 by 512. You also select a category. And so I'm going to select characters. You also select whether this is an NSFW model or not. So it's not, I'll leave that off. So the last setting here is instance prompt. And this is really important to remember. Whatever you put in here is what you're also going to use when when generating an image based on this model. If you don't, it doesn't come out right. It doesn't look like the rest of your images. So I'm gonna say a Marvel character, and then we would click start training. The training takes about 30 minutes. They send you an email when it's all done. And once it's done, you can use it. Let's take a look at that now. So here are a few models that I've created. Marvel characters, this is the test one that I just did, but we're not gonna train it. We have Pokemon one that I did about a week ago. And with the Pokemon dataset, I actually made a mistake and included duplicate images, which it explicitly tells you not to do in the FAQs. I also made a dataset of pictures of myself, although they're all different and different styles, different camera angles. So it doesn't really work super well, but I'll still show you the results there. And I love the Japanese artist Murakami, so I uploaded a few pieces of his work. And you can't use this for commercial purposes because I don't have the rights to this work, but I'm just showing you for educational purposes. So as your models are training, you can come into the job status tab and see the status of your model. All of these are done, but if it wasn't, it would say training right here. So next, let's create an image based on that model that we just created. So let's go into AI image generation. In this dropdown, you're gonna find your most recent models used. If you don't see the model that you want here, you go ahead and click select custom model. You can find the one you want, view, and then generate with this model. But for now, I've created a prompt using ChatGPT. I've entered it here, and here are some of the results using the Marvel characters model. And here are a few examples using the training model that used my own face and image. So I typed James Bond, GoldenEye, and this is what came. It's pretty funny. I hope I don't look that old. And for some reason, they look like really retro movie posters of James Bond. Very cool though. And here are a few examples of Pokemon I created, again, using ChatGPT to actually describe the Pokemon. I loaded the prompt into Leonardo. I used the Pokemon model that I trained myself, and here are the output. Some of these are highly pixelated because some of the images that I used were highly pixelated. You can also favorite different models, which I really like. So these are some of my favorite, of course. This paper art style model, I absolutely love. Here's another one. And if you look, here are the number of images that were created, and you can actually look through all of the images that were created using this model. And if you want to use a community model, you come into fine tune models, click the community models tab. We're going to select one that we like, and we can click generate with this model. So let's type Kobe Bryant, and let's see what it outputs. And you can see it actually does tell you the instance prompt right here. And so that's how to train your own models in Leonardo.ai. Also, of course, you can use the community models or the platform models, all of which will continue to get better over time. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.